Hey everyone, I'm WFA meteorologist Kyle Roberts, located in Dallas, Texas. This is a tropical update for you, and we're recording this on the morning of September 11th. The reason why we're talking about the tropics is because they're starting to brew just again, especially for parts of the Gulf of Mexico. We have a disturbance down along the Yucatan Peninsula right now, and as that disturbance moves up into the Gulf of Mexico here today into tomorrow, it does have a chance of forming into some sort of tropical system. In fact, about an 80% chance in the next 5 days. It'll probably happen before that. Probably more like in the next 1 to 2 days, maybe 3, could form into some sort of tropical system, whether that's a tropical depression, maybe intensifying into a tropical storm remains to be seen. Kind of depends on the path that this disturbance takes, whether or not we can get a well-defined low-level circulation along with that storm as well. So it's definitely something we're going to keep an eye on. Regardless of what ends up happening and what the storm turns into, it is going to bring a lot of heavy rain to not only coastal Texas, but coastal Louisiana as well. We'll talk more about that coming up in a second. Our forecast models are just beginning to run with this storm, which means they do not have a good handle on it at all. Some of them take whatever the storm ends up being into Mexico and then kind of curving along the Texas coast. Some of it kind of keep it out over the Gulf of Mexico. If it stays over the Gulf of Mexico, maybe a little bit better chance of it intensifying, maybe into a tropical storm. If it stays and moves into Mexico and along the Texas coast, maybe it's only a tropical depression, or maybe it's not even strong enough to become a tropical depression. Maybe it's just a tropical low. Really doesn't matter what ends up occurring, because rain is still looking likely for the Texas coast and into Louisiana as well. But this is all things that we'll be keeping our eyes on over the next couple of days here. Really, the models struggle with these type of systems until they get a defined low-level center, and that has not happened with that storm just yet. Now, our models are predicting a good amount of rain for not only the Gulf of Mexico, but also into Mexico, and then look how that rain just spreads along the Texas coast here into next week. Pretty much all next week, especially starting Sunday night through Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. By Thursday, Friday, that system kind of over into the southeastern part of the country, Mississippi, Alabama, and we'll be starting to dry out after that. But before all that happens, tremendous amounts of rain possible. Right now, forecast potential totals for especially right along the Texas coast there from Freeport to Galveston, maybe even over to Port Arthur right here, 7 to 10 inches of rain. Of course, the totals do drop off as you move inland, but there still could be maybe 5 to 7 inches around the Houston metro area, extending back down to Corpus Christi. Totals 3 to 5 inches along I-10 there, and then 1 to 3 inches potentially as you head a little farther inland. That's Texas, but as we shift over to Louisiana, you can see those same colors extend into not only the Louisiana coast there, but into central Louisiana, maybe even over into the New Orleans area as well. Of course, all these areas impacted by Hurricane Ida not too terribly long ago, which brought a tremendous amount of rain, wind and storm surge. The recovery efforts continue across a good chunk of Louisiana, and it does look like some flooding rain headed that way, so that is not what you want to see regardless of what's going on. But given the recovery efforts going on in parts of Louisiana, this could definitely put a hamper on any of those issues. So flooding, definitely going to be a problem, it looks like, as we head through the upcoming week. That's my primary concern. Winds, yes, it might be an issue if that storm does intensify a little bit, but it does look like this one will definitely be a rainmaker and cause flooding issues, not only for the Texas coast, but also into Louisiana as we head into the next week. If that storm gets named, remember it has to become a tropical storm in order to get named. The next 2 names on the list are Nicholas and Odette. Now, it'll probably be Nicholas, but as I'll show you coming up here in a little bit, there is another area of disturbed weather that we're watching that could become a system as well. That's way out in the Atlantic Ocean. So if one gets named, it'll be one of those 2 likely, but I don't want to say with any sort of absolute certainty that this next one will be named Nicholas. By the way, we are at the peak of the hurricane season. That happened yesterday on September 10th as the peak of hurricane season. Thankfully, things do start to trend downward from this point on, but obviously we're only a day removed from the peak of the season, so things still do stay quite active through the month of September, even into October as well, and hurricane season does officially end as we head into the end of November and the beginning of December there. Here's what I was talking about. Back over in the Atlantic off of actually Africa, there's another disturbance moving out there over the Cape Verde Islands. It has about a 70% chance of developing in the next 5 days. So if this one develops first, it'll be named Nicholas. If the one out over the Atlantic develops first, it would be named Nicholas, and then the next one would be named Odette. There's a chance, though, that this system that we've been talking about in the Gulf doesn't become strong enough to be named. It only stays a tropical depression, or maybe a tropical low. Regardless, as I mentioned, heavy rain and potential flooding issues looking likely for parts of the Texas and Louisiana coast as we head into the upcoming week. Thanks for watching. We'll keep you updated. As always, you can get more information on our website, WFAA.com.